Real fast, I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Upworthy Weekly. It's a lighthearted news podcast. It comes out on Saturdays, and I have forced my co-host, Todd Perry, to join me here to help me tell you about our new venture. Todd, why should they listen?
Well, I mean, a lot of people, they think, oh, it's the Upworthy podcast. It's just going to be sunshine and it's going to be unicorns. But you know what? It's really not that. Allison doesn't have the ability. She doesn't have it in her to actually be that person that I thought we were hiring when we did this show. But clearly, after just a couple episodes, the facade dropped. Okay? I thought, she's doing the Upworthy show. It's not going to be like, oh, neurotic, cynical Allison, but no, she's there. So, I try to counteract that with some of my good vibes.
I would argue that if one person is coming off as a little bit cynical and unhinged right now, it's not me.
It comes out every Saturday, wherever you get podcasts.
Bye.
Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is your new best friend. I am sitting here in my studio and I am very excited to welcome my guest. Please put your hands together for comedian, actor, podcaster, writer, musician, person you've definitely seen on a million things, Brian Posehn. Hello.
Hey.
How's
Thanks
it going?
for having me. I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good, but
Do people ever ask you that?
They never do, Who interviews the interviewer?
No one.
Yeah. I'm in a pickle right now. Perhaps you can help me. It's you're in LA as well, right?
Yes.
So it's like unseasonably cold. I find it to be.
Yeah, well, it fits for Christmas if you're anywhere else, but for LA, it's super weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I'm a person who, despite my sunny disposition, really, I don't like Southern California weather. Like I lived in New York for years. I like the cold, but for some reason, I'm just ill prepared for this particular bout of coldness. I feel like I don't have the clothes for it, or like I no longer have the, intestinal fortitude for it. I'm just cold all the time.
Right.
So I'm
because the East Coast cold is like 30s and 20s, and our cold is like 50s.
Right.
So you can't wear the full North Face. You can wear like a North Face vest.
Yes. Maybe that's what
and then
it
a
is.
sweatshirt. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wearing like fall clothing, but freezing my ass off. So I'm in my
Right.
studio now, and it's so cold that I've turned the heat on, but I feel like it's going to make me have low energy, and I'm going to be too cozy for the kind of, witty repartee and on my gameness that this podcast
don't
requires.
fall asleep.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to do like a Letterman thing. And I've actually never been in his studio. I imagine you probably have. Is it true that it's an icebox?
I didn't do that show. No.
Okay.
But I've always heard that, yeah.
Well, I guess my question for you is, should I turn my heat off?
Probably.
Okay, I'm going to do it.
Or just keep messing around with it. Get it going, then you get sleepy, and then turn it off, and then get wired again, and then when you're freezing, turn it back on. And
like edge myself? Okay, I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Temperature edging. Okay, I turned it off. I'm waiting for the little flappy thing to close. We could be waiting all day for that. Anyway, okay.
You can microheat yourself. I've been hearing people that
Really?
dads at my friends or at my kids' school microdose. Like,
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes.
So that maybe just microheat or micro cold yourself.
Yes, except I'll think that I'm micro-heating myself, but then all of a sudden I'll break into a sweat. And it's like, you're just regular heating yourself. No, so my co-host on Childish, whom you probably know, Greg Fitzsimmons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he and I have we call it a parenting-ish podcast because we find ourselves like halfway in being like, we should probably talk about our kids. We talk about our lives and marriages and all sorts of stuff, but so it's parenting-ish. But anyway, I think he was like a tiny bit microdosing. And I don't mean a tiny bit like a tiny amount of substance. I mean just dabbling in the microdosing thing. Because he battles
microdosing.
Yeah, because he battles, and he's very open about battling depression. That's something we talk about on the show.
Yeah.
But he stopped because he actually felt like he was just doing shrooms. Like it wasn't micro enough for him.
I think that's what this other dad is doing, and he enjoys it. like we were at a kid's party, and he's just balls out, just shrooming. Yeah. In the middle of the day.
I've actually never done shrooms. It's funny that you say this. I feel like everything is becoming cyclical in my life, at least, because shrooms just came up on the most recent episode I did. So this is the universe.
I think it might be going around LA though. I think it's a thing. Okay. I don't know.
I want to read it as like, this is the universe telling me, Allison Rosen, to do something versus like maybe it's just people in LA are into shrooms right now. Yeah.
I did all that stuff as a kid. So I haven't done drugs or hard drugs since the 90s, and I'm not going to start. As a 56-year-old dad, I'm not going to, hey, that sounds good. I'm going to shroom too.
See, that was my argument. Because I've like dabbled in other stuff, but I sort of steered clear of hallucinogens other than pot that was so strong back when I went to college that it did make me hallucinate. And we're always like, was it laced? We don't know. But anyway, my feeling was like, I feel like the window for me to do shrooms closed, but I don't know. People are trying to, they're wedging an elbow in there. But anyway, okay. You grew up in Sacramento, and this is where you did your shrooming?
Sonoma and Sacramento. Yeah, I went to high school in Sonoma and college in Sacramento. And more drug experimentation in Sacramento than high school, really. I wasn't kind of a dork. I was a dork in high school, and then didn't really get friends or get around people that even partied till like junior, senior year. Mm-hmm. And then I did some day drinking and night drinking, but not too much else.
So in your most recent special, Posehna Non Grata, which is so funny, and I would encourage everyone,
thank you.
Tell them where they can get it. I know that it premiered just as we record this, it premiered just last night, right?
Yeah, it's on moment.co, and then for 2 weeks, and then it'll be everywhere. Okay. Or maybe it's everywhere now once you hear this. But anyway, I think look at all the usual places.
If I know timing, which I do, since I'm in charge of when this comes out, this will air on Monday, so it'll still be on Moment for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah,
and then like a couple days before Christmas, it shows up on Amazon and Roku and like a million other. I looked at this list and just started to nod off. It's everywhere.
Were you like me when I'm like, Deezer? What's Deezer?
Yes, there's so many. I make fun of the Deezer nuts. I make fun of those. Yeah, I've come up with, hey, do you have Glip? You got to get Glip.
Glip.
You can just make them up.
Totally.
Just pull them out of your ass and they sound like real ones.
Yes.
Roku. Like, how did Roku or Quibi?
Well, I remember when the word Google sounded funny. Because this was back in like the...
It still does.
it does, but I'm so like inured to it.
Right. It's our lives now, but it's weird.
I remember when people were using Twitter and they would refer to...
Yeah. I'm going to tweet. What's a Twitter or a tweet? Yeah. Like 15 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
I said when people were using Twitter. They're still using Twitter, although many are trying to get off. But no, when people...
I hear that.
When people were saying that, like, I'll use Twitter, but I'm not going to call it a tweet. And now, tweet is so commonplace. Anyway, though. Okay, so back to... lost my train of thought. I'm going to blame the heater. I've already lost my train of thought.
Sacramento drugs...
Sacramento.
My special.
No, your special. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So you're 6'7", right?
6'6.6".
Okay.
Yeah, ish. I'm right there. Like a wrestler, I fudged it a little.
Okay. So you're extremely tall.
Yes.
And I was surprised to find out from your special that didn't happen until like pretty late, right? When you're 18,
Yeah.
you grew 8 inches?
Yeah, I had literal growing pains. So it's totally true. From 18 to 19, I grew from 5'10" to 6'6".
Wow. So
And I was still living with my mom part of that year, and I was on a twin bed, and I was like this freak, and I would describe it in my act as like American Werewolf in London, like my bones literally just stretching while I was, in bed.
right. And I think that you
And it was super painful. It's not, that's why they call it growing pains. It fucking hurt. Like
Right.
I could feel like my femur getting longer, like my legs got longer in a year. That probably hurt the most. I don't remember the spine, but getting longer, but I definitely remember my legs getting longer, and that being like, you just felt like somebody's Charlie horsing you your whole night. Like just punching your leg over and over.
Jeez. When you first
It was
started
awful.
feeling it, were you like, what is it? What's happening?
Yeah. Because I had grown. I mean, I was 5'8". That's a tall kid, but it hadn't been like that before.
Right. So I think you, in your special, you mentioned this to explain, because you say that you got picked on in school, and that
Well, people are always like, "Why you're huge? How did you possibly get big?" Especially guys, because guys just assume if you're big, you can also fight, or you can, all that other stuff. What they would do if they were my height,
right.
And I'm basically a passive dude. Like I've never really swung on anybody in anger, and that was a big thing in high school.
Right. So you just said before, when we were talking about drugs, you were saying that you were a dork. You really didn't have any friends for a chunk of your youth.
Oh, I wrote the saddest thing. You just bring it up. My freshman year, I wrote in my yearbook. I was the only person to write in my yearbook outside of a teacher. I know. It's so messed up. And I wrote that like you'll have friends maybe next year.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
Yes.
Like, did you write like, "Dear Brian"? Did you write?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I still have it.
Oh my God, is it accessible?
No, it's in the garage,
Okay.
but under piles of shit. But yeah, I dragged it out a couple years ago because I was like, did I misthink that or misremember that, or did I really do that? And yeah, I did that.
I have so many things like that where I have to verify my memory of it. And oftentimes it is weirder and worse than I remember.
Oh, like when I tell people some of my high school stories, they're like, "Were you in a John Hughes movie? Like what happened to you in the 80s? It was terrible."
So were you outcast?
I always felt like the new kid, even though, like, by then I'd been there since 4th grade. I moved to Sonoma from San Jose, and I just still always felt like the new kid. I was weird, too. I would say weird shit. I thought weird shit, and I would say it. So some kids, even my kids that kind of were my friends, were like, "I don't know. I don't know about that dude."
Like,
And then I started to get funny. I mean, in high school was when it all turned around for me, and it really was like, me being in summer school with the most popular kid. He was the head of the wrestling team, and everybody loved this guy, Joel. He's still one of my best friends. And we just started talking about Pink Floyd one day, and next thing I knew, I was his friend, and it like saved junior and senior year. Like I was like Lucas, and he was Charlie Sheen. He's like, "Lucas is cool. Quit calling him that, and quit hitting him."
when you say that you would say weird stuff, like what kind of, quote unquote weird little kid were you?
Kind of dark. That's why I was drawn to heavy metal and horror and all the other, and comic books and all that stuff, because I kind of already said weird shit and dark
Right.
shit. Gallows humor. Like my mom, the first stuff she remembers me saying is kind of dark.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Did that experience or your social experience impact your self-esteem, your confidence?
It did for a while, but for some reason it didn't with stand-up. Like I don't know how I got to do what I do, because I shouldn't have confidence, but I strangely do. Like that's the one thing. Like I think I found in my, I started doing it when I was 21. The week I turned 21 was my first time on stage. And I knew before then that was something I could do. I could be funny. I could make my friends laugh. I had figured that out like the middle of high school, and then definitely post high school, where I would meet people. And that was what they liked about me, was that I was funny. So I would get that a lot. And so I kind of figured that this was something. I didn't think I had any skills, but I was like, I might be able to do this. And then once I did it, I totally was confident to a point of being almost a dick about it,
Isn't that kind of how you have to be, though, at the beginning?
You kind of have to be a little cocky in the beginning, or think that, only you're funny and no one else is. You kind of have to have a little bit of that.
Right. So you started doing it the week you turned 21 up in Northern California?
That was Sacramento, yeah. Living with my grandfather and going to a junior college.
And then when did television and movies and that kind of stuff start?
So I started in 87. I didn't get on things till probably 92 or 93. The first thing was MTV, and then followed quickly by, I moved here in 93 and 94, and I got on Evening at the Improv.
Nice.
That was one of the first things. And then back in the early 90s, there were so many comedy shows. They were everywhere. So like I did in the next couple of years, I did a handful of them. And then I started to get on sitcoms in like 94, 95.
Mm-hmm. Was sitcoms?
And that was just through a casting director coming to see me at the Improv, and then literally putting me on a show 2 days later. Like,
what was the first show?
It was Empty Nest. It was a sitcom that I had watched, and at the time, and I think it started late 80s and was still on in the mid 90s there. And it was probably one of the last seasons that I did. And it was to play a Miami Dolphins football fan at a stadium. And they put me up with the extras. So the extras thought I was an extra. Mm-hmm. And then I had like 6 lines. And they're all freaking out. That was my first experience with extras, because they're all like, what the fuck? Like, how did who told you you could say that? And I'm like,
how did you climb out of this pool?
And I didn't even know that was my first time on a set. So I just sat with them all day. And then finally I had somebody come over and go, you have a dressing room? And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, how down to earth of you. At the beginning.
Yeah, and I just didn't know. Like, I got that job. That was the first audition too, which, like, any actor that hears my story of like this casting director came and saw me and said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, I don't know. Probably getting high all day, but I didn't say that. But she was like, come to the studio and audition. And I came, and then she goes, what are you doing tomorrow? And I went, and she goes, you're coming to the show. And set me up, and I was like, this is easy. Like, I'm going to be an actor now.
Had you taken acting classes?
A little, yeah. I had taken, and then especially around then, definitely a cold reading and scene study and stuff like that. And I'd taken, I liked it in junior high and high school, but my acting coach or acting teachers my junior high one really liked me and was a really great lady. Great teacher, but the woman who taught high school drama at Sonoma High, where I went, fucking hated me. Wouldn't even let me be a Nazi in cabaret. Like,
why? I think you'd be a great Nazi.
She was like, "You've got braces," and I was like, "We're in high school."
Yeah. That's like, you can't play an old person. You don't have gray hair. Come on, lady.
She didn't think I was serious enough. Was really what it was. She thought I'd fuck around. I probably would have.
So then, who did you end up getting a part?
I would have been the funny Nazi in cabaret. No, I didn't get anything. And then, like, not even crew stuff. It wasn't. High school drama was not a good experience. They weren't welcoming.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of I was weird, but I was also. By junior, senior, I was like, I'm going to be the class clown. I'm just going to be funny all the time. And that didn't go so well in certain classes.
Right. Was she like a very serious drama teacher?
New York lady. And she had just moved to California. was super into Barbra Streisand and
Wow.
like everybody in the 70s was, but or 80s. But
Is she still around, do you think?
that's all. I don't know. I haven't looked her up. I looked up the ones I liked.
Yeah. Because
But I haven't checked in on the teachers that weren't so great.
But I mean, I wonder if she knows how well you've done for yourself. I would like to think she does.
I hope so.
She knows she's.
I hope she's listening to this.
That's right. Hey, lady.
She just threw a coffee at the wall.
And I bet it was black coffee, right? That's probably what she
Oh yeah.
We'll get back to all this, but speaking of, it sounds like I'm about to go into an ad read. I'm not. I was just going to say, we were talking about coffee. Speaking of beverages, I need to know, how do you feel about eggnog? This is a topic that's been coming up on my show lately. It's much more controversial than I would have thought.
I don't know why everybody hates it. It's not like my favorite thing, but I like it. And then especially my mom always put cinnamon on it.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, and it was always better, you know. My wife doesn't drink it, but she buys it around this time of the year, and my son likes it. And I haven't had any yet this year, but I'm not going to throw it against the wall.
Yeah.
I'll have some.
Well, you're not going to throw it against the wall because you don't want to be like that teacher, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the David Tell joke, though, I always think of, because he goes, I want to have a drink, but I also want pancakes.
Now,
Because it does feel like you're eating like flour or dough or something.
Totally. The way you said, I don't know why everyone hates it, makes me realize, did I miss a memo? Like, I was not this, because it's news to me. This season, it's news to me that everyone hates it. But that does seem to be the way it's trending.
Yeah, I just have heard it. And then I did another podcast where they're like, what's the deal with the Sklar's brought it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it's going around.
Wait, did they have the same
hatred of? No, they were just like, what's your feelings on eggnog? And I was like,
I just need a moment to digest the fact that I've been scooped by the motherfucking Sklar's. Did they? And it was the same take that I do. Like, just how do you feel about eggnog?
And they both said it at the same time.
And how do they feel about eggnog?
Randy and Jason. No, they both enjoy it, I think.
Oh my God. Are they available right now? Just kidding.
Let's call them.
How recently was this?
Yesterday.
What is happening?
Well, I've been doing the rounds, so I've done a ton of these.
I know, but I didn't know my
podcasts.
eggnog material was making the rounds too. I thought how unique, how whimsical, how seasonal and yet topical, but at the same time how fun. And then it turns out the fucking Sklar's are doing this too. Fine.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about something. Go ahead. No,
I love the fucking Sklar's. They're nice fucking boys.
I know. I was joking. I love them too. I have been on their show. They've been on my show numerous times. I love them.
Sure.
I just wasn't aware that we're all talking about eggnog.
It's going around. Probably Howard Stern.
I know.
Is doing a segment.
Well, fill in the blank. When blank talks about eggnog, then we should all be done talking about eggnog. Like, when has it?
Does Wendy Williams still have a show?
No, she doesn't. But I know that's a good one. Like,
did she get canceled?
So my no, not canceled in the way that you mean it, in like the new way that it's.
Right.
I don't know.
By people. Yeah. Not by the network.
No, I think it was canceled by the network, but it wasn't canceled by.
By the Frown Academy?
Exactly.
Is that what they're called? The Frown Academy? That's a good name.
That's really good.
I don't know. That's the people who decide who's canceled and who's not.
Yes, exactly. I wish I could remember. I know that I saw a long article about it and I started listening to it, which I don't normally listen to articles, but I'm like, I'm going to this time. And then I remembered why I don't listen to articles, because I couldn't really focus. But I know that she had some health problems.
Oh, okay.
But then when that happened, I think that the cancellation had already been in the works. I am totally talking out of my ass. So we should find out and offer an update on a future episode. But anyway, no, we're going to have to find someone else. When will Eggnog Talk have officially jumped the shark? When
Corden.
Yes, James Corden. I wonder what he keeps his studio at. Probably cold, right?
Yeah. I've never done that show either.
All right.
On purpose.
For real?
But yeah, let's move on. But yeah.
What late night show?
No, well, when Conan was on, it was like no reason to do other shows. So I just did Conan for the last 15 years, and then now it's not around. It's like, I'll go do what's the nice guy from SNL?
Seth Meyers?
Yeah, I'll do that show again.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that before, so.
Was it cold? Did they keep the set cold?
You're obsessed.
I'm obsessed with this.
I think they do, because isn't he in the same? Oh no, he's in the NBC studios probably, right?
30 Rock, probably.
Or is he? I don't even know.
I would think that is where he is in 30. Do they actually call it? I mean, I used to appear on a news show that was there all the time, and we didn't call it 30 Rock, but I think that is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of The Rock, now that's a segue. You talk a lot about your friendship and your man crush on The Rock in your special, which I found very charming and delightful. And I'm like, I think I stan you guys.
Thanks. That joke, it became an epic on its own. I think it clocks in at like 18 minutes. It's one of the longest jokes I've ever written. It's a bit. It's a chunk.
Yeah.
And it happened post-COVID. It was the first comedy show I did post-COVID. He happened to tweet to me that day, and it was a tweet that we had exchanged 6 years before. You saw the bit, and so that joke, him retweeting it just kind of wrote itself. I took it on stage that night and held up the phone, and I said, "Look, here's the thing that happened 6 years ago, but then look what I got today." And then I just riffed all that stuff about, my future with him, and then it's grown and grown, and then adding Jason Momoa in and Roman Reigns. And it's also like I involved my wife in the story, which she hears all my jokes before anybody. Mm-hmm. So, and has for quite a while. So like I bring her in on the story and the joke telling.
Is there any, has there been a time where she's like, I would rather you don't say that on stage, or, yeah?
No, but there was a joke that she cringed every time, and she goes, people are going to think that's real because everybody thinks that everything you say is real. And it was about, anal sex on Jesus' birthday, having anal sex on Christmas. And so she's like, great, now everybody thinks we have anal sex on Christmas.
So
we don't.
Do you not do it
But
anymore?
It was the thing I put out there. No, the joke is super old. It's like 15 years ago. But at the time, she was like, I sweat when you start that joke. And I'm like, sorry, honey.
How did you meet your wife?
Through she still is a manager. She's in the management business, but she was working for my manager at the time and showed up at a New Year's Eve party. He and I lived together, and we're still like really close. He's still one of my best friends and was my best man. But I was like, who's that? And she was just super cute, and I didn't talk to her. And then I would talk to her when I would call him, because she was his assistant for a little bit before she became a manager. And that was how my courting process was, me just calling and pretending the need to talk to him. Mm-hmm. And then I talked to her about stuff and bullshit. And then she'd hand me over to him, and he'd go, what's going on? I'm like, I don't need you. I just wanted to talk to her. So
then at what point did you actually ask her out in this ruse?
Couple weeks, couple months. It took, so we met in January, and I think our first date was like March. We went to just see a friend's band, and then our first real date was to see Tool.
Oh, so she's into music too.
Yeah. So we saw Tool at the Palladium in LA, and I actually got to bring them up, so it was bonus points. Like, I'm friends with the band, so we got to go for free. But their whole thing was, you have to introduce us. So I went and introduced them. And so I totally got bonus points from that. And it wasn't calculated, but it worked out.
Right. That was like my husband and my first date. He got recognized by someone, and like that never happens to him. He had co-written a graphic novel and like that, but it just, in the whole time I've been with him, that has not ever happened, but it happened to happen that night. And he's always like, I was so lucky that had happened that night.
Right.
The first time I was like hanging out with him. Okay. Another important thing that we need to discuss. Now, I don't know if the Sklar's also brought this up. I think this is a passion of theirs too.
I'm sure they did.
Bowel movements.
Okay.
I know they did a whole documentary about it. But in your special, you mention, and this is sort of just a casual aside, that you're not one of those people who can't shit anywhere. You can pretty much shit anywhere.
Yeah, I don't want to, and it grosses me out,
Yeah.
but I can get it done.
Yeah. And
I think I don't say it in the special, but I've said before I could shit on other shits if I was forced to.
yeah. Now, I am a lady, so I don't ever shit. But if I were, I
Right.
could also probably deal with a variety of situations, except I really don't want to handle like an outhouse at a festival, which I don't even find myself at festivals anymore. I remember going to my last all-day festival. I don't know when it was, but I remember thinking, I think I'm done with all-day festivals. So I did hit a point. But if it's a gross bathroom, no, I don't want to be in it. But for the most part,
Yeah.
I'm not like super precious about it. I think going to college broke me of, because what am I going to do? Like not use the bathroom for a whole semester? But my thing is like, I don't understand actually people who can only use their own bathroom. Do you understand that?
No, that's why I make fun of that, because I do have a friend. I say in my act, or my buddy goes, I can't shit at your house. I'm like, I could shit at your house. I could shit in every room of your house. But yeah, I have a buddy who, has to take care of it. But that's why when I first saw that movie, American Pie, and they called the one guy Shit Break, where I thought that was so funny, because I was like, that's a thing I'd never seen nailed, but I definitely know people like that.
Yeah.
That have weird. How do you live? Like, how do you,
That's what I wonder. I think you'd be so limited.
Yeah, you can't go 5 hours away from your house, or
Right.
and especially if you're eating questionable food. Or,
Yeah, I know. Okay, so let's go back to the career arc. So, casting director comes to one of your shows, invites you to be in a sitcom the next day, empty nest. Did you get to meet, Dinah Manoff, Kirstie McNichol?
Oh yeah, everybody was there. Yeah. And my scenes were with the two older guys on the show, David Leisure, and the older guy from
Mulligan,
Soap.
Richard
Mulligan. He
Yeah.
was so great. Yeah, and I had so many. I worked with Ed Asner and Tom Selleck. I've worked with so many crazy, and then the next 10 years, I got to do like practically every 90s sitcom.
Right. Were you on Friends?
Yeah. Second season.
Who did you play on? I asked because I know this, and now I'm blanking. Who did you play on Friends?
I don't have a beard. I show up in like an army jacket to I work for the soap opera that Joey's on.
Oh, yes.
And Joey gets fired for saying that he delivers that he writes everything. And I deliver him the script, and he's like, "Would I die?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just deliver the scripts." I think that's actually literally the line.
And you remember?
But yeah, that was super fun.
That's what I was going to ask. What was your experience on that show like?
They were cool. They were, but the three of the actors were super supportive, and three weren't. But the people that were cool were really cool.
Oh my God! What kind of unsupportive were the other three?
They just. People, like when you're a guest actor on a show, people sometimes are welcoming and sometimes they're not. And three people I don't remember even being said hello to.
Oh my
and I had the
goodness.
same team. Oh, I did. Kirstie Alley, rest in peace. But same thing when I did her show, and I did a scene with her, and she didn't say hi to me. Like, we're acting.
Are you talking about Veronica's Closet?
Yeah. But just, you never know. You never know how people were. There's a lot of stress in sitcoms and shit. So I don't really judge people for that.
Right.
But it's happened.
Interesting.
And then the coolest one ever was Seinfeld. Like,
yeah. What were
final
they like?
season, 4 episodes left. And Jerry could not have been cooler. Like, he went out of his way to be cool to me.
Oh, that's
and
so
I think
nice.
it was part because he knew I was a comedian, and I had auditioned for them 3 times before. So, and every time he was in the room with Larry David, and they would tell me, hey, keep coming back. Don't get discouraged. Like, if we don't give you this part, come back. No one fucking does that except for those 2 guys. Like, the 2 biggest guys of the 80s and 90s and whatever couldn't have been nicer in the room.
That's so nice. Okay, so Jerry was super nice. What were the other people in the cast like?
Oh, they were all great. Yeah, super great. And my scene was with Kramer and the little guy. Danny Woodburn's the actor. I forget the character name, but Danny I knew through comedy. I already knew him.
Right.
And so we showed up and I'm like, hey, man. And we were, and we just had a blast with Michael Richards for a week.
Yeah.
Like, just even rehearsing the scenes, I'd be crying, laughing, and but being professional about it,
Right.
Because he was so fucking funny, even with the script in his hand. Just, it was great.
I'm just thinking about what you said about how unwelcoming you did not say the Friends cast was unwelcoming. You said some of them were super welcoming and some of them were, doing their own thing. And it's reminding me, I had Pamela Adlon.
They were huge. That was second season. And that was when they were, in their defense, there was press everywhere.
Right.
It was crazy.
Everyone had
That
Jennifer
show-
Aniston's
that show-
haircut.
That show was massive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm remembering I had Pamela Adlon on my show, and I was asking her about her experience on Facts of Life, because Facts of Life was like my number 1 favorite sitcom forever growing up.
Wait, was she on as like a kid actor on that?
Yeah, she played Kelly. So how well do you know Facts of Life?
I know her, but I didn't know Facts
So her
of
name
Life.
was
I
Pamela-
know Facts of Life pretty well.
Okay, so her name was Pamela Segal at the time, and she played like a street urchin, street rough who kind of comes into. It's when they're at Edna's Edibles, and she comes into the shop and she shoplifts, and then she befriends Joe and looks up to Joe and tells Joe that she's like doing it to impress Joe.
Is this like final season or one of the
No,
final
it was
seasons?
in the middle, actually, because it's when they're at Edna's Edibles. It's not when they're at the novelty store, and it's when Mrs. Garrett is still there. And then she says that she's part of a street gang, but then it turns out that she's actually like fairly wealthy. And it's like, and then she came back and was on for a whole season though. But she said that her experience, and this broke my heart because I love that show. I don't want to put words in her mouth because I don't know how explicit she was, but this is like my episode. People can go listen to the episode. It was at the beginning of this of my doing this podcast. So this was probably like 2013 or 2014, but, or 2012 even. But I think that it was not the most positive experience for her because that cast was like really bonded with each other. They were doing their own thing. And the sense I got was that it was just maybe like not super easy for them to, have someone new in the fold. So,
right.
And
high school kids too. They were young.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
And then I'm trying to remember, Aisha Tyler has also commented on what it was like coming into the Friends fold too.
I've known Aisha forever, both San Francisco. So yeah.
Nice.
I used to see her at open mics in the early days.
Yeah. What was like, this is a little bit of a gossipy question, but what was, is there one set or one experience that was just like the worst?
Yeah, probably Veronica's Closet, because no one was there. Well, no, there were a couple of guys on the show. God, that guy, that MTV VJ, he was like the rock and jock kind of guy.
Rock and jock.
I can't remember his name. He was
Jesse
really
Camp?
popular.
Carson Daly?
No. He was more of an athlete guy. He was a really good, like traditionally good-looking, taller guy. That got a lot of work around then. And he was on Veronica's Closet, where he was regular. But I can't.
And he was an athlete?
Yeah, he was like
like long blonde
at the beginning of like extreme sports kind of guy. He had
hair.
like dark long hair.
Dark long hair.
Can't remember the dude's name. I could
for
look
some
it
reason
up,
Peter
but-
King is coming to mind, but that's not who you're talking about. Peter King was a surfer though. It's like,
But anyway,
Yeah.
he was one of the only guys that was cool to me on the set. And it's just a weird thing, and I always try to stay out of the way.
Mhm.
Like when I did Big Bang and whatever show it is, because that show was huge too when I came on it. So especially now, and then even back then, I would I'm a shy guy. So I immediately go to that, and I always have a book with me. So, I would be sitting in my chair, sitting in my dressing room, and just being as out of the way as possible.
right. Well,
And I still had a couple of experiences where people just weren't friendly.
I'm looking up Veronica's closet.
It's like Peter. I know we're going to see it and go, God damn it.
I know we are too. Dan Cortez.
Yes.
Yes. And Dan Cortez was married to Daisy Fuentes, right?
Oh, were they?
I associate them, but now there's some blonde person.
But she's with
Richard
that,
Marx.
that pop artist now, Richard Marx.
Yeah. I think that
Being
he was
amazing together on Twitter. Yeah, that makes sense.
I could,
He was cool.
Yeah. Okay, good. What was your scene with so what was Kirstie Alley like aside from unwelcoming though?
Just like cold and just like I'm a human and I'm
Yeah.
right next to her and nothing, and I got laughs. She didn't, I could tell her and Kathy Najimy didn't think I was funny, but, cause you can tell when somebody doesn't think you're funny, but, the, director did. So it was just a weird experience.
Right. Oh, that sounds.
And you're just like, I can't wait to be done and just get the fuck out of here.
Was it just for 1 week that you were there?
Yeah. Just a guest part, but that was the only one that it really sticks out in all the other ones that I did where it was just like, ooh, I don't feel comfortable here.
And then what was Mr. Show like?
Oh, that was a bunch of idiot friends just working together. It was the most fun thing ever. Sure, we fought and, because we would get really passionate about our ideas. And that was still my favorite job I've ever had. That and
Really?
working for Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
Doing Sarah Silverman program is my favorite sitcom I did, definitely. And then Mr. Show is my favorite other job, but still 20-something years later.
Can we talk about your 2 dogs for a moment that come up in your special?
Yeah, one of them's snoring right behind me.
Is that Mavis?
No, that's fuckface shit pants.
So for anyone who hasn't seen the special, which I imagine is most people given the timing of this.
There she is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's super cute.
What kind
she's
is
a King
she?
Charles. She's a King Charles Cavalier.
That's what I have. The whole time I was wondering what. So you and your wife have 2 dogs.
I love her. I just tease her, and she does take my food, and it does annoy me. But I'm the hugest dog lover. I in the act I play it real up that because my other dog's over here, you can't see her, but I have a Bernese Mountain Dog too, and she's like my best friend. And during COVID, we bonded together. Like we had a woman that worked for Cesar Millan come over when I first got my puppy because she was so destructive. Because when you get a puppy that's
huge,
10 pounds 1 week, 20 pounds the next week, and it's just growing, they're even more destructive than a regular sized puppy. And she was ripping door jambs apart, ripping patio furniture up. And so we had this woman that worked for the Cesar Millan come over. And then ever since then, since she was 1, like me and this dog like bonded hard. So I call her my sweet angel, my teddy bear come to life, and her name's Mavis. And then the joke is that my wife's dog is fuckface shit pants.
Well, it's funny because we have a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel named Wendy, and she also steals food. Maybe that's a Cavalier thing.
I don't know. It's weird that dogs do have that, traits, because Mavis, the other one, has things that we see online that other Berneses do. They're really stubborn. They don't like to come inside when they're outside.
Right.
Like you have to practically go out and lift them to bring them in. It's like if it's raining or snowing, they want to be out there. And on walks, she'll just take a break in the middle of the walk, and then you got a 100-pound dog that you can't budge.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so But yeah, I think the Cavaliers must have that. They'll climb up on furniture to get food, and
Yeah.
she'll just take things.
So Wendy has a crate, and she likes her crate. So when we're eating, we just put her in the crate because otherwise it's like impossible. Like I look at people who just have a normal house where they can just eat and their dog just hangs out and isn't a maniac about it. And I think, what is that like? Because if you're eating around Wendy, she will. It's not begging, because to me, begging is like a dog, like sitting on its hind legs, like whining. She'll be in your face.
Oh,
I mean,
I think it's a thing, because that's what this one does.
Yeah.
And barking and just
like
it
pawing
makes
at
food,
you. Yes, she'll make your life hell till you give her some.
It makes food not a fun experience, like until you get her out of the room or
yes. Yeah.
We don't crate her anymore. We should still. She's 8 now, but
ours is 8.
The first year. Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. How is I know that she's not your passion like the other one, so I'm forcing you to talk about the one you care less about. But how's her health?
Oh, she's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Ours is on heart meds
issues.
now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. She's doing okay though. So listen, I take questions from people, and I have some questions that people wrote in with. I'm on Patreon. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen is where you can go. All sorts of fun stuff. There's rewards. There's bonus episodes of my Patreon podcast, which is called The Friend Zone. And then you can see videos of the Thursday show. That's my group show. This video will be on YouTube, youtube.com/Allison Rosen. Go there, subscribe. This is a call to action within a call to action, which is just going to confuse people. Back to Patreon. There's also photo outtakes, and there's a level where you can send me text messages, and I'll text you back. Go check it out. If you go for an annual subscription, you get 2 months free. But anyway, I solicited questions on Patreon, and we have a song.
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
Okay, so Brian J. says, was his character in The Mandalorian given any kind of backstory?
No, but we talked about it on set. I was there with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who also is a co-creator, and I think directed that episode, the first one. Yeah, we talked about it just briefly, like joked around that, he's like a space Uber guy. I said that he was going to sell this, was going to get his own land speeder because he's been working for somebody else forever. And, he has dreams or had dreams before the Ravenak got him.
Seth Eisenberg wants to know, how did you break into comic book writing? Was being a comedian/actor helpful or a hindrance?
Oh, super helpful. So it was just through being around Image Comics and the people that work for them and Marvel Comics at Comic-Con. I've been going to Comic-Con. I didn't miss one till COVID. So I've been going since 95.
Damn.
With a couple of nerdy friends back then, guys that were on The Simpsons, and just sort of met all these other people, met all these people that worked for, Image. And so when I came up with an idea with my writing partner at the time, we knew that we had a home there. And then with Marvel, that came from them just eventually at one point going, hey, do you want to write Deadpool? What would you do with Deadpool for a year? And then so we had to, not jump through hoops, but we had to pitch out like what the first year would be like. And I don't know who I was up against, but I know they were looking at a couple other writers for the job, and we got it and did it for 4 years.
Was that fun?
Super fun. I mean, as a nerd too, like I love writing. Writing is one of my favorite things that I do. And to write comic books, to grow up with them, and to think, I never ever thought I would have anything to do with Marvel.
Yeah. And
to know that I did now, and and I have all these hardcovers on my shelf and all the stuff that I did that says Marvel on it. Like it's one of the coolest things I've gotten involved with.
Is your son impressed? Yeah.
Super. Yeah, he likes almost all the things I like. So
Oh, that's cool.
he got to go to Mandalorian premiere with me. Just recently, we went to the Weird Al premiere. Like he for a nerdy kid, he has the perfect life. Like he's met Danny Elfman. He's met one of the first things when he was a little guy, we were walking into Patton Oswalt's house. And my son's in my arms. He's 2. And Patton goes, "Hey, Rhodes. Hey, buddy," to my son. That's my son's name, Rhodes. And Rhodes says hi to him, and we walk by. And my son at 2 leans into my ear and goes, "Ratatouille?" And I go, "Yeah, that's Ratatouille."
Oh, wow.
You're friends with Ratatouille.
Oh, that's so cute.
But so he's kind of known, and now it's weird. And plus now, private school and all that shit. So he's around other kids that are more famous. Their parents are more famous. So.
Right. But for a while,
actually
he was
famous. Yeah. But now he goes to high school with, or goes to school with LeBron James's kids. So it's like, I'm not that famous.
You're still tall, though.
Yeah. I could take LeBron.
Lee Bruns says, can he share the backstory on how he ended up in the Red Fang videos?
Same label and just being friends. I was working with Relapse Records for a couple of records there, and their Portland label and Portland band, and it just met him through there, and we've performed together, and I was in 2 videos.
Cool.
And I'm a fan. I'm actually a fan of that stuff. So
I was listening to, I'm blanking on the name. I was listening to the music album that you put out in 2020. Remind me that.
Oh, Grandpa Metal.
Yes. So good.
Oh, thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Okay. Let me find.
We got pretty screwed by COVID. We didn't get to tour it. And I really think it could have done better if I would have been able to tour. But I'm going to write another one down the road and try to do that again.
Have you played the songs live?
Only like a handful of places. I did a couple of things with Scotty and acoustic and live.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Andy Dare says, just let him know that I met someone who had a background in theater, but his current gig was acting out medical issues at a hospital. And I said, like that Seinfeld episode, and he had no clue what I was talking about.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw this one online actually today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if that's a real NYU thing. I'd love to ask NYU medical students if that's something they really did.
Right.
But you would think it came from somewhere.
It must have. Yeah.
Seinfeld writers usually, would get their ideas from like a real thing that they're making fun of. So
right.
I would imagine somebody does that.
Uncle Doofus says, what does he think of the current state of heavy metal and hard rock music?
Oh, man. We don't have that kind of time. I still listen to a lot of stuff. There's some cool new stuff. You just got to look for it. I am totally open as a man as old as I am. And my favorite bands are the same bands I liked when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
But I'm still open to new stuff. And I always check out new bands. And especially now I have a regular radio show on Gimme Metal. So for that, it's called Grandpa's Metal Stash, but I still try to stay timely, and I'm one of my favorite records of last year is this band Turnstile. They're young hardcore band out of the East Coast, and I really dig them.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know if the camera was on
them?
me or you.
You've heard them?
I've heard of them. Okay, so I followed this guy Brian Diaz, who's a guitar tech and a musician. For anyone who's like, that sounds familiar, he's really good friends with my producer, Tony Thaxton, Motion City Soundtrack. Brian has been on my show, and he has posted about Turnstile a bunch. I'm pretty sure it's Turnstile. Brian is now.
They're post, it's kind
I'm
of
like, who are they?
Post-punk hardcore.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I would like them.
And they grew up I can tell that what made me like them is I heard like breakdowns and stuff that just sounded like some bands that I liked in the early 90s, like Leeway and Sick of It All, and a couple of New York hardcore bands. So That's what made me like them. And I like all types of metal. I like really, my favorite metal of all time is like Iron Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
So the mainstream stuff is always what I've liked the most.
Right.
I'm not one of those guys that's like, no, it's Norwegian and it sounds like, it's a refrigerator dropping off a cliff, or, some weird obscure heavy metal. I like guitars and drums and, songs. Right. I like songwriting.
When everyone started talking about Mastodon, I actually tweeted that. I tweeted the cover of a Mastodon album, and I'm like, it's taken me forever to realize people aren't talking about this when they're talking about Mastodon. Yeah,
yeah, me too. I don't really know what it is outside of that. It sounds like that band.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a. It's
a new Twitter kind of thing.
Kind of, although it's actually been around for a while, and it's like it's not centralized, and it's actually quite confusing. And I'm on it, but not really on it, and I don't know. Okay. Wes says, "Is Bill Moseley as menacing in real life as Otis Driftwood?" Who are these people?
No, he's the nicest guy. So that's the Devil's Rejects, the killer in Devil's Rejects, and he shoots me in the face in that. Mm-hmm. And we had so much fun shooting that thing, like more fun than you should, acting out horrifying situations. Like I'm laying with other dead bodies and we're just like laughing, and I like to break it down like this. So I was on Devil's Rejects for 5 days. So I had 2 days of dialogue. 1 day where I got killed, and then 2 days where I played a dead body. And that was my week.
And Devil's Rejects, that was Rob Zombie?
Yeah, his second movie before he did the Halloweens.
Got it.
It's like 15 or 16 years old now, but it's seen as like in the horror world, it's one of the big ones. It's a huge fan base. It's crazy. Like people will come to my shows with like a giant poster that they've had signed by everybody else because I don't go to horror cons, not on purpose, but I'm not out there signing stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm like one of the hardest people to get.
When someone approaches, I imagine you must get stopped everywhere you go, right? Because you're pretty recognizable.
Yeah. Not in the valley, though. Not at home. Not really. And when I'm out, yeah. And if I'm in somebody else's town, they freak the fuck out, like, what are you doing here? But in my own town, not really. Like, and I'm losing weight. I gained a lot. I'm really big on the special. And I've lost 35 pounds since then. And I walk up and down Ventura Boulevard, and I'm sure somebody must recognize me, but I don't like hear people yelling "bird" out the window or whatever any character names. So
you have a joke in your special that I feel like there's people who are gonna like just stand up and cheer and be like, yes, when you say that you previously had lost like a lot of weight. I don't. See, now I'm in that weird thing where it's like, I don't want to do your joke, and I also don't want to mess up your joke. But you'd lost a bunch of weight, and like, well, now I don't want to step on it. You know where I'm headed with this, right? Let me very
the
much
throwaway
paraphrase.
Thing where I go, it's super easy. All you got to do is completely change your lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, weight loss is one of the fucking hardest things. Anybody who deals with it, my heart's with them because like it's the worst. And I was a skinny kid my whole life. So like getting into my 40s when weight kind of wouldn't go away, I was like, what is this? And my mom always I talk about it in the act, but always went out of her way to let me know. One of the last things she said to me is, you're the fattest you've ever been. How did
that make you feel?
Well, there's a reason I'm here talking to you. We pretty much just boiled everything down. Mm-hmm. That's why I became a comedian, is because of things like that were said to me my whole life.
So was she critical?
Oh, yeah. But also like maybe didn't know how mean she was sometimes. Mm-hmm. I think there's some things that she said to me where it was like, you couldn't possibly have like not known.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to steer it that too hard that way, but yeah, no.
Got it. Do you have siblings?
There's a reason.
Do you have siblings?
No, only child.
Oh, so you alone got to soak up all the...
Yeah, and then there was stuff like, oh, and to think I wanted more children. Like, that was a thing that was said to me once. Or not once, but a handful of times. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Oh, that's hard.
Well, no, it's good. I got a career.
That's true.
I might have been boring if she hadn't done that.
This is true. So I do a segment called Just Mirror Everyone, where people write in with things they think or do. And I also ask my guests, do you have a Just Mirror Everyone? And we have a song.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
Do you have a Just Mirror Everyone, Brian?
Yeah, and fitting the theme, mine's kind of dark. Well, one of them. So the two things I think of when I'm in a bathroom and I'm leaving, it's super hard for me to not, in a public bathroom, to not turn the lights off, just to be a dick.
Oh,
Is there anybody else?
I thought you were going to say out of habit, but
No.
I'm sure you're not.
Like seeing feet underneath. Because I've done it before.
To be a dick.
Yeah, just cause. And then turn it back on, but gotten fuck, and that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, gotten angry people. Anybody else? Or am I kind of a sociopath?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out when people write in and let us know. I'm
Okay.
voting sociopath, but I'm just me. I'm just kidding.
Okay. The other one is, we used it in a Sarah Silverman episode, but I haven't seen this. I haven't been in public where it's come up, but every time I see a cop's gun, I wonder what that would be like to take it out of their holster and replace it with something. We did it in the episode where I put a banana in a guy's holster because he was at a grocery store, and that was from a real urge that could have gotten me in big trouble. But anybody else?
That cannot be just you. That cannot be just you. That feels like that's an everyone thing. That's a
the writing room all loved it. So it wound up being an episode. So
right.
Yeah, it must be not just me. That's
the equivalent of like standing on the subway platform and being like, what if I just jumped? Or what if I fell onto the tracks? Or, I think.
Right.
I once, this to go dark for a moment, it was a very dark, it was a very dark time of my life. I was in, I was sad, and people who follow me know my dog, who was like my child, had died, and I was just really, really, really sad. And I was in a hotel room, and there was a balcony, and some balconies, you look at them and they feel safe, and this one just felt like, this seems like the kind of balcony where I could just hop on over it. And I was not suicidal, but I was just like, I couldn't let myself get near the balcony because I couldn't get rid of this thought of like, what if something just compels me to jump? What if something just compels me? And it was the weirdest
That's not
thing.
just you.
Yeah.
No, I've had that. Yeah, I've had that for sure.
Is it when you have been feeling sad?
No, I think it's more that being in a place like that where it's kind of unsafe.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I could do it. It would be very easy. Yeah.
Right. But I think we were at Treasure Island in Las Vegas, so it's like I can't imagine it really was as unsafe as it appeared to my eyes, because I can't imagine they would leave themselves that legally exposed. But anyway, okay.
Right.
A question just came in, but I'm going to read it because I think you'll like it. Okay, it's from Mark Blutman, and he says, what did you think of the director of Doubting Thomas, (Spy School), because I know the director loved Brian?
Oh, that was a fun experience. Huh.
Well, there we go.
Random.
I'm glad I read it because it was so moving.
Yeah. No, that was, I can't remember the director's name, but that was a long time ago, 15 probably years ago. D.L. Hughley and I were in that. And we shot it in New Mexico. And it was a kid's movie that bounced around, and It had a couple different titles, I think, and then finally was called Spy School.
Got it. Okay, here are some that were sent in on Twitter, so you can tweet your own Just Me or Everyone to @ARIYNBF. Okay. Anne Elise says, I immediately want to listen to certain bands as soon as the seasons change. For instance, Fall is from My Morning Jacket and Interpol, Just Me or Everyone. I don't know that the only way I'm seasonal with my music is like wanting to listen to Christmas songs around Christmas.
Yeah, that's probably it for me too, and maybe Halloween stuff.
Yeah. But I am
That's kind of it.
I'm very like, I will get into a phase where all of a sudden I'll remember an album that I haven't listened to in a long time, and then I'll just like listen to it nonstop. I don't mix up my music too much. I'm like very into something and then I move on, or I don't move on.
I have a bunch of regulars that I go to, but yeah, there will be where I'll have a thought and that'll make me go, oh, I haven't listened to that in forever.
Yeah.
And then like I listen to Metallica pretty often, but if I'm in the Bay Area, even more so. Like if I'm walking around San Francisco, I'm practically only listening to Metallica just because all my sense memories are attached to, being a Metallica fan there and actually being on the Street Battery and playing that song. And so that's a place where when I'm there, it's like I kind of want to listen to them the whole time.
Sell the Team Bob says, Just Me or Everyone, people that don't pull forward enough in a drive-through line to let you order are the worst. And then there's a picture of them in a car, like not really being able to pull. There's like a big gap in front of the car in front of them. Sure. I guess those people are the worst. I mean, there's worse people, but it's not cool behavior.
Oh, it's up there for me.
Okay.
Have I shared you mine though? I think I talk about mine in my special. That's the fuck you people.
Yeah, it is.
We're
Although
not there yet.
We're not.
Yeah.
Although
because that's one of those kind of things. People that do that.
Because this person,
I have a Chick-fil-A in my neighborhood, and it is so goddamn annoying because people are lined up for that thing all day long, and I try to drive by. It's on my street, and it's become super super annoying, and people are like parked in the middle or car hanging out.
Right.
We're just trying to go to our houses while they're getting their delicious chicken.
See, that person actually began the tweet with hashtag JMOE, Just Me or Everyone, and then put a hashtag, hey, go fuck yourself at the end. I feel like they're trying to have it both ways, but I say let's move on. Do you have a hey, go fuck yourself? So,
oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, let's hear your hey, go fuck yourself.
Guys at the airport wearing flip-flops. Seriously. Oh, I don't even understand like how you leave your house in the morning. Because I fly all the time, sometimes, for a while there once a week or twice a week coming back too. But yeah, man. And I've got it all worked out. I know what I take with me. I take the same stuff every time. I wear comfortable flying out, especially if I'm going to the East Coast and I'm going to be on a plane for 5.5, 6 hours, or I'm going to Hawaii, wherever I'm going. Even if I'm going somewhere short, like I'm in comfortable clothes. I wear my walking shoes and, but flip-flops, why? Do you agree? Is that something that, are you grossed out at all if you see a dude doing that? Because then you've got to go through the Total Recall machine with your flip-flops off.
Yeah.
You're barefoot.
Right.
Now you're barefoot in a public place.
Yeah.
And you should be beaten for that, I think.
I don't have the hatred that you do, but I don't understand. It feels a little bit like, does your foot need to be free? What's good? Does your foot not want to be caged? Like, and also, I can't imagine they're that much more comfortable. For me, flip flops, and I know you're not even a flip flop at the beach person, but for me,
no, and I'm not. But it's also just men.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I'm not judging of women at all.
But I don't find them to be that comfortable. For me, flip flops are around a pool or at a beach only. maybe in a vacation destination a little bit, but I like for the most part they're not that. I would never want to wear them in an airport. I would be cold.
They're not comfortable.
Yeah.
They literally make that noise. That's why they're called flip-flops, because they just do that constantly while you try to walk in them. You can't run in them. You can't, like, why?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, wear the Van slip-on. I won't do that. I wear Van slip-ons at home, but I don't want to be barefoot at the airport, so I won't wear the Van slip-on.
Right.
But I mean, there's so many other shoe choices that I could also be mad at.
I would invite anyone, if you're a dude and you wear flip-flops at the airport and you're hearing this now, please let us know why. You can contact me, ARIYNBFshow@gmail.com, or better yet, tweet it, because then Brian can see it too, and hashtag flip-flop rationale.
I mean, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be guys that just have never thought about it, and God bless them. I wish I could not. I wish my brain didn't go to where it goes. But, like, it's a dude that just goes, "What? They're comfortable. I just like wearing them." That's what a guy's going to say. But fuck you. I don't know.
I don't know that I want to talk to that guy.
Right.
What? I mean,
I say in my act, I'll respect you less if you come to my house in flip-flops, and definitely at the airport.
what about like slides? Because there's men who wear slides. That's like just wearing shower shoes.
Yeah, but most of those guys wear socks.
Oh, okay.
They're not wearing slides barefoot.
I guess
like
right.
a lot of guys wear those Adidas slides, but then they're also wearing socks, and that's their own look. But that's not what I'm mad about.
No, you just don't want to see men's hairy toes.
Yeah, or bare feet. Yeah, just in public.
Right. All right. So then here's where
At home, I look at them. That's my fetish. I actually look at men's.
That's why you don't want to see them. It's too much for you.
Yeah. So, hey, men at the airport wearing flip-flops.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Nice. I think they'll think again before ever letting
I hope so.
their sweaty tootsies hit that gross airport floor. Brian
The best has been there's been a couple people in my audience wearing flip-flops, and it's been fun. Like I'll see a guy made it real clear he was in the front row and he put his feet up, and I was like, "You fucker!" This whole time.
It's funny
super fun
during your special. I don't think this is giving anything away. There is there's like a audience participation light, but you seem delighted by it.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, I think I know what you're talking about. They're rowdy. It's a bar. There's not straight heckling in that set, but yeah, there is a little bit of audience participation. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but when they're there for my show, I know they're not yelling, bad stuff. It's mostly like, woo, there's a little bit of that. But, I was listening to older specials recently, and there's always stuff like one of my favorite Dave Attell specials. The crowd is super rowdy. I was listening to Comedy's Not Pretty. Steve Martin won, I think, his third record. And there's all sorts of like random voices that they left in. And so it's, it's part of the live experience. Yeah,
it was interesting. It was the kind of thing where as a viewer, I heard someone in the audience yell back something. It was something like you said, this is not what it was. But in essence, like, I'm not blah, blah, blah. And then the person yelled like, yeah, you are, or something like that. And it was for a moment, I was like, oh, I wonder how.
Oh, that was the one. I left that one in because it was great. That's the one where I go, I don't want to fuck The Rock. And the guy goes, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And that one stayed in just because of anything somebody could have yelled at me. That one just fit. And it was perfect. Right. And I reacted okay to it. So, I kept in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one stayed in. They were just a kind of a rowdy crowd in general, those two shows at the Beat Kitchen.
Yeah. But it was funny because I was like, oh, I wonder how he's going to react. But then it seemed like you were amused by it.
Yeah, that one was a good one.
Yeah. Well, Brian Posehn, it was so nice talking to you. Thank you so
I had a good
much. Time. listen, you guys, if you like what you're hearing, or even if you don't, please make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a review. Click 5 stars. Tell your friends. Follow me on social media at Allison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. Listen to my other podcasts, the aforementioned Childish and Upworthy Weekly, my lighthearted news podcast that comes out on Saturdays. Subscribe subscribe to this, youtube.com/Allison Rosen. You can see videos and shorts and stuff. I already mentioned Patreon. I'm on Cameo. Brian, tell them where to find your special, plug anything else you'd like to plug, etc.
Yeah, so right now it's moment.co, but then it'll be everywhere. Posehna Non Grata, Amazon. I don't think it's even Prime. Or maybe it will be free on Prime, but it's going to be at the regular places. You can find me social media, thebrianposehn.com on Twitter, and then just Brian Posehn on Instagram and Facebook still. And my website is run by my high school buddy that was on this high school newspaper with me, and he does most of my social media still.
Oh, that's so cool.
BrianPosehn.com.
I didn't know that you were on the high school newspaper. We didn't even talk about that. This would have been the time when you manually pasted stuff up, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I was in ads and sold ads to people around town and had to hand make that stuff, yeah. Well, and also, I wasn't an editor, but we were all involved in that. It was super fun.
Yeah, those were the days back then. And then also your podcast, Nerd Poker, and you mentioned that you have a radio show on Gimme Metal.
On Gimme Metal called Grandpa's Metal Stash.
Awesome.
And a bunch of comic books coming out this year through Image. Well, 2023 through Image.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show?